Children, the unborn citizens, weak and defenseless yet remain innocent. When murder pills get fed into their system, they crying out for help when nobody would listen. The bodies of infants crushed in an instant, heart stops beating in an amniotic prison. Give them all a chance and don't take away their dignity. We're trying to save lives here and not cause a tragedy. Turn the lights up, put down your forceps. Why you wanna take a life with no purpose? Oh mama, can you hear my heartbeat in your room? Your choice, don't cry, mama, I'll be dead soon. Why you wanna take a life with no purpose? Oh mama, can you hear my heartbeat in your room? Your choice, don't cry, mama, I'll be dead soon. Whatever happened to the sanctity of life? When babies are discarded, cut open with a knife. You say that they're retarded, so it justifies your rights. Well, that's a violation, it's against human rights. So if you really cared, you would fight for their protection instead of blaming your spouse for not using contraception. Now you wanna give it if the product of conception. That's the reason why we're giving it global attention.
This is Cyber Ethics for Goa Board of Education, and I'm Abhishek Clifford from Rescue. And today we want to look at the reasons for medical termination of pregnancy, because most of the terminations today occur amongst young people who have very little idea of what they're doing. First of all, the issue of termination of pregnancy across the world has been quite divisive. It's been a controversial issue. Some people want to stop all abortion, some people want to allow all abortion, and there's different laws around the world that range between how much should occur. Some people feel very strong one way or the other. This is a group of people standing outside an abortion clinic with red tape on their mouth. They stood there for a year, team by team in groups, and outside the Supreme Court in one country to say the babies are silent, they can't do anything about this. And they were protesting that the laws should be changed. In India today, we see lots of protests for save the tigers, the wildlife, save the trees, save the environment, all very good causes. But surely the Supreme Court should be save the children who are being terminated en masse. 1.1 crore babies a year, according to the All India Institute of Medical Science 2008 statistic. If there's a terrorist attack and thousands die, it's international news. If there's a natural disaster and lakhs and lakhs of people die, it's news for months and months. But when all these 9 lakhs babies are being terminated every month in India and across the world in other nations today, there's no news at all. Well, I'm glad this is changing and that we're putting this into the syllabus so that people can think about the consequence of a missing generation. This baby is sleeping in the safest place, on her mother's lap, in her father's care. However, this baby is sleeping in the most dangerous place in India. The most dangerous place in India today is not the Indian-Pakistan border. It is not in the forest with terrorists or tigers. It is not on the national highway or MG road at rush hour. Statistically, the most dangerous place to be is in your mother's womb. A soldier on the border area may have only 0.1% chance of being shot. However, if you're in your mother's womb, you have a 30% chance of being terminated. That's excluding sickness and disease. That is if your parents ask the doctor to terminate you because your parents were not married, they were playing around, they didn't think of the consequences, or for whatever other reason. We are terminating today 1 in 3 of all the children that God is giving to India. God, why haven't you sent us people with cures for cancer and AIDS and answers to our world's hunger and all our social problems? Says the skeptic. God replies, I did. The skeptic says, but where are they? God replies, you aborted them. We want to look today at the top 9 or 10 reasons why people choose to use MTP, medical termination of pregnancy, or as I said, restated in the last video, perhaps it should be better worded, medical termination of baby. The first and foremost reason is that people fail to realize the purpose of sexual intercourse. There are many purposes, like joining people together for life. It's like glue. It's an enjoyable gift from the Almighty. But the other purpose of intercourse is creation or procreation. You cannot separate intercourse with having children. And if you try to, you come up with the baby genocide, the en masse annihilation of children. This is the photo of a fetus. This is what sex produces. This is what sex produces. This is a baby. And people are emboldened to think, well, no, it doesn't. We use contraception. CDC said that contraception is 75% effective in a one-year relationship. 75%. So that means 25% chance in a one-year relationship of one of these being created. If you don't want to create a baby, you shouldn't sleep with someone. Young people today, you're perhaps thinking a lot about getting a girlfriend, a boyfriend, or a fiance, or marriage. You're thinking about your bodily hormones for 5 years have been inspiring you to think about the issue of relationship and physical attraction and romance, loyal romance. However, have you thought about starting a family? These two things are connected and you cannot separate them. The desire you have is called procreation love. It is a desire for attraction. You see, as I stated in an earlier video on cyber ethics and romance, God knows that it's hard for us to commit ourselves and live with one person for 50 years in love and without too many arguments and to love them. So what he does, he gives this way that we can be bonded together through this act of intercourse. And in the process of which we create the next generation. God has shared with us the way of producing the next generation. We're not all created as human beings at the same time, and humanity is around for just one generation. No, each generation produces the next generation. The number one reason for the baby genocide today is sex before marriage. 20% of all abortions occur because its parents are not married. That's at least, according to the government statistics, 400 babies terminated every month in Goa, or a district, or a small state, for example. That's the government statistics. When we talked and interviewed gynecologists, hospital directors, receptionists in hospitals, I think the statistics are sometimes, certainly in Goa and some other places, 3 or 4 times higher than that. Some say 5 college girls per day come. One hospital in the receptionist said 20 higher secondary and college girls come per day to have their own baby cut out of their tummy, as we saw in the last episode of this cyber ethics, or poisoned, or whatever. So this is a huge issue, and the scars emotionally on the people that have this, and the toll has to be addressed. Number one, we should realize that we should not play around with a relationship until we know that it's for life. Once we have a relationship we know it's going to be for life, then we can use the bodily glue. Then we can have the intimacy or the intercourse. Never allow someone to use your body unless They are first make a contract with you that they will be with you for life. In other words, they marry you. If a virgin marries a virgin, it is virtually impossible for her to get AIDS. AIDS takes out the immune system. It allows all diseases in. All the organs of the body can be racked with a disease. It is a 7-year death sentence, even with the latest drugs. If a virgin marries a virgin, they cannot get AIDS. The second reason for medical termination of pregnancy is sex outside marriage. And you see, as a young person, if you start playing around with people, going off to the forest, bunking class, going to the beach in the night, going to a hire-out hotel or to your boyfriend's house when your parents are out, if you're unfaithful before your marriage, will you be faithful after your marriage? And then, if you're a boss and you get the secretary pregnant, and you don't want your wife to find out, what are you going to do? You're going to say, oh, have an abortion? Have an abortion? So again, terminate the baby? Kill your own child? Don't have the habit now, and you won't have the habit afterwards. You'll be faithful, it will be precious. Don't cheapen such a beautiful gift. The third reason for medical termination of pregnancy is about timing. Because young people, until now, don't prepare themselves for a family, they just prepare themselves for love and romance, they feel that they're not ready to have a child if they suddenly get pregnant after their marriage. And again, one of the major reasons, about 20% of all abortion, is because people are just married and they think it's too soon to have a child. No one is ever ready to have a child. It's always a leap of faith. It is always a new thing. Is a baby ready to walk? It will fall over, but it learns as it keeps trying. And what you can do is every time you feel romantic, you can think, yeah, this is about meeting my lifetime partner, my lifetime lover, and it's about, with that person, creating a family, creating a group of people that are going to love each other for life. You're getting married to produce a family. If you realize that, then you'll be ready to have a child. Family planning sometimes will delay it. We don't want to delay too much, and we want to be ready for whenever the surprise comes. We don't want to start our marriage by killing the kids. Connected to that, and the next reason is, well, I've just had this baby and I'm pregnant again. I can't cope with another baby. Can't you? You see, anyone that gets a promotion in the secular world, they have this responsibility, then they have this one as well. They can't say to their boss, no, I don't want that. You see, as human beings, we are well able to cope with many, many issues. And we shouldn't... Before they had the contraception, for all the thousands of years of human history, people had babies one after another. They were well able to cope. You think in a nursery, they have 20 children. We can't cope with 2 at the same time, or 3, or 4. The next reason is really, again, one of the biggest. I've had enough children. I've had 2 children, and I'm pregnant again. I don't want this child. And you're already pregnant. Well, it's too late. You already had the child. If your husband was working in an international company, and suddenly, or your wife, suddenly they lost that job, and now they go from 35,000 a month to 7,000 a month and work in an Indian company. Do you say, oh my goodness, we've got 3 children and now we've changed our jobs, we can't afford, so okay, where's the youngest child? Let's get the youngest child and terminate him? No one ever would think about their changing circumstances. It's too much. And terminate one of their born children. So how can we terminate one of our pre-born children? Again, it all comes down to life begins at conception, not birth. As we saw in the last session, when we looked at the reality of these photos of the pre-born, of the fetus. The word fetus means young one in Latin, or infant, or baby. Let me ask you a question. After you get married, how many children do you want? Now maybe you find that an embarrassing question. Okay, let me ask you in a different way. In your education, do you want maximum education or minimum education? Well, I hear you say maximum, but are you sure? Because more projects, more assignments, more tests, more revision. You do your higher secondary, your degree, your post-graduation, your MBA. So much work. Yes, sir, we're willing to have maximum education because then we get an excellent job, we get an excellent qualification, we do something meaningful with our life. We really enjoy, there is satisfaction, trupti, in what we do in life. So the equation is, we're willing to do maximum work if it's maximum satisfaction. Let me ask the question again. In your future career, do you want maximum promotion or minimum promotion? I hear you say maximum, but if you're the boss and in charge of the whole company, you have so much more responsibility, you have so much more to do. Are you sure you want maximum promotion? Yes. Why? Because, again, when you're organizing a new branch of this company, or you've got lots of people under you, you're using your full brain, you're really enjoying what you're doing, it's going to be maximum satisfaction. Even though you're the last to leave the office each day, even though it may be 10, 12, 14 hours of work and you have to work at home or sometimes in the night, you've got the pressure, the tension, but you get a good paycheck and it is satisfaction. You're doing something meaningful. So again, the equation is we're willing to work hard if it produces something that's wonderful. I'd like to let me ask you the third and final question. After you get married, do you want maximum children or minimum children? I think I know the answer to that question. Maybe you didn't answer that one at all, you just laughed. And why is it that the answer to number 3 is different to 1 and 2? It's because we have such a negative opinion of children today. We have this feeling that primarily they're a burden. No, primarily they're a blessing. Why do you want to get married? Because that person is the object of your love. It's your closest friend. Do you know, children also are the object of our love. Someone that doesn't have a boyfriend, they used to go with you on the bus, and they used to chat in with you for half an hour. Now you've got this friend, and maybe your mum and dad have agreed for your future marriage, but you're on the phone, hi, and they just don't understand why you just so love to talk to this person for hours. That's a special love. It's the same when you have children. You may not understand it now, but the ones that you've created, your babies, you have a special love for them. You know, your favourite time of the day for the ladies, the girls, will be around 4:30, maybe 3 o'clock. And what will happen is, you've cooked lunch, you've got their snacks ready, and they burst in through the door, and they say, hi, mummy. And you feel something every time they say that word. One of my friends in America, he has 10 children. And he said before he had his first child, he was thinking 1 or 2, wasn't interested at all. He was into bikes and action movies. Now his whole life is an action movie. He said, nothing I did before having children compared with creating little ones, bringing them up, playing with them, and being the leader and organizing them. And he said, I just couldn't stop. I just wanted more and more. My father was the 13th child. I'm glad that my granny didn't say after 12, get away from me, get away from me, 12 is enough, 12 is enough. Otherwise I wouldn't be here. How many children do your grandparents have? I'm not saying that you should all have 7 children, but I am saying, if God gives you one more than you planned, don't terminate it. Accept it as a gift. You see, yeah, children are hard work, but we got the equation before. Hard work is worth it if satisfaction. Hey, Priti, stop pulling Priya's hair. Hey, Johnny, Take your hand out of the socket. You don't understand. Well, if you put your finger in the socket, it's going to electrocute you. Oh my goodness. Oh no, Krishna, you just put my mobile in your orange juice. It's ruined. Oh, I'm going to need to buy another mobile. You see, come on. Oh no, I've just changed my shirt. I've got to change again. Yeah, children are hard work, but they are worth it. We already got that equation. Actually, nothing in the office, nothing in your education compares to creating human beings, to bringing up human beings, teach them to walk, to talk, to sing, to dance, going to the park as a family. Just put your tradition aside for one moment. Just imagine you're holding 2 boys in this hand, 2 girls in this hand, and you're going to the park, and they are laughing and joking and having fun. And when they go to, guys, why not have 9 children, you and your wife, that makes 11, you've got a whole cricket team. We need to rethink, about how many children we want. And again, my point is not big family. My point is, don't say I want 2 children or 1.5 average. Say I want about 2 children. About 2 children. Traditionally in India, you have arranged marriages, and on the day that the girl comes in with her chai to offer the chai to the boy, as she comes in, he's not concentrating on the cup of tea at all. He's looking at something else, and he's looking at the girl. And no, when you first meet that guy, you need to set it straight from the beginning. The I love you bit. The second line is, I love you and I'm never going to have an abortion. And if God gives us 3 or 4 children, get it settled right at the beginning. Get it settled. This is what I want. I'm not going to terminate my children. And something you should sort out initially. Those of you that are still not convinced and are thinking about your career, I have 2 things to say. Well, career is an extremely important part of life. What we do, we want to be fully engaged and doing something that really stirs us up at a heart level. However, I've never seen someone on their deathbed that thinks about their office. If someone is in the unfortunate position of being in an airplane crash and the plane's going down and they're picking up the signal, they're all on their mobiles, no one is doing this. Hello, boss. Yeah, it's me. Yeah, it's Abishek. I've left some papers on the desk, and if you can file them in the cabinet, and you know that my assistant, put him in charge, because I won't be coming into the office from tomorrow. My plane's crashing, and I won't be coming in. I just wanted to get everything sorted. Shh. No one will phone the office in their dying moments, will they? What does everyone do in their last moments? This is what they do. Hello, darling. The plane's going down. Just listen. This is really important. Just stop everything. It's me. Yeah, I'm not coming home. I love you so much. All the years with you have been so good. Tell the children to be good. I love you. The plane's crashing. There's no hope. It's just going down. I love you so much. Look after the kids. Tell them to be good. Tell them Daddy loves them. Doesn't everyone think of their family? Family is very, very important. It is so beautiful to have family. Yeah, there's problems, but we overcome it. We walk in forgiveness. And I see many people in India today, they're very proud of sending their children abroad. They've just had 2 children, maybe. They said, my son is doing his MBA in London. My daughter is doing her MBBS in New York. And where are they now? Well, they both got married and settled in England and America, and I only get to see them once every 3 years. Well, why didn't you have 3 or 4 children and let 2 do their education in India, and you'd have all your grandchildren round your house every Sunday afternoon? You see, sometimes we just say, I'm only going to have 1 child. One's enough. Ondu saku. Ekbas. And we have plans. If it's going to be a girl, I want her to be an actress, and I want her to be a CEO of a company, and I want her to have the best education in Australia, and I want her to have everything that I didn't have. And when she's 15, she runs off with her boyfriend, and we never see her. Well, if you had 3 children and the first one runs off with her boyfriend, you've still got 2 more. I'm joking, but another thing with having a few children is if you just have one child, it's the center of attention in the family. It becomes selfish, and it is not the best way of having a family. You see, the parents have the character, they can be the center of attention when they have 4, 3, 5 children, and these children know their place. If it's just one and they get all the attention all the time, it can develop poor character. I find the number one reason I'm told for wanting a small family, or not wanting the one more that comes, that's what we're talking about today, we want our child to have the best education. And it's so expensive today. We can't afford to have the 3rd child. We can't afford this 3rd child. Well, is poverty really a reason for medical termination of pregnancy? We see much more abortion occurs amongst the middle class than the rural areas. And India's richer today than it's ever been. Is it really because of poverty? I don't think so. I don't think so. And some people say, well, you know, this education. Well, yeah, okay, you give the first child or 2 children private education. If you get one more, he's got a choice. He can live and go to government free education, or you can terminate him. Let's go to any government school today and give that same option to the high school children. You are all in government school. So you have a choice. You can be terminated, or you can continue in the government school because your parents can't afford private education. I think we know every one of their answers. You know, the government of India has provided free bicycles in some areas, free tabs in some areas, free laptops, free school meals, free uniform, free books, free education, free food at lunchtime. It's not that expensive. We really can't afford 300 rupees for the baby's food. It doesn't eat much. And he can use the clothes from his brothers and sisters, handed down. Is it really the money, or is it really inconvenience? We think it's too much work. Work is what satisfies us. Nothing is enjoyable. Laziness and being a somberi, being a Michael, a lazy person is the most horrible. Apathy is so crippling. It's just to watch TV all day. It doesn't satisfy. We are made for more than that. You won't be satisfied. We're satisfied when we're fully occupied. Say the husband comes in. I'm not talking now about professional ladies. I'll come to that in a moment. But say the husband comes in and he says, I'm bored with this factory job. I'm going to get a job in Pizza Hut. I'm going to retire and just do 4 hours a day rather than 8 hours. I'm going to go part-time. What would the wife say? You lazy fellow. We have all the bills. You need to work full-time. Why is it that the mums can do that? They get the first 2 children at primary school. Then they want to go into semi-retirement. They want to go from 8-hour day to 4-hour day. Great, the children are primary school. So we can watch Dharawahi or serials or TV in the afternoon for 3 hours. TV is good, especially in the evening while we're watching our lunch in the background. However, to watch television just all day, we have a greater purpose in life than that. And I would suggest that get the 2 in the primary school. If one more comes, that can be the next great adventure. And your family holidays can be totally different. And when you're older and all your children coming around, your heart will throb with joy. And even when it comes to your children's children, you'll be looking after your grandchildren. You'll be really enjoying them. I think it's quite a long time in the future. How about career? So I don't think girls should go into semi-retirement at 25, 29, once they've had the first 2 children. They get bored. How about professional girls? Well, most will take off maybe 12 years until their first two children are at high school, usually. Because when they're very small, they need maximum of mum's attention. And so out of 50 years, let's say 21 to 71 working for a professional girl, just approximately, easy numbers. So out of that 50 years, they will spend 12 years being a mum and 38 years in their career. 38 years of their life in the hospital as a doctor, engineer, a computer programmer, whatever. So 12 years gets to the two children. If one more comes along, or two more, it's now going to be 15 years and 35 years in their job. Is that really different? 1238 goes to 1535 years in your job. Isn't that awesome? For an extra couple of years, 3 years, you've doubled the amount of your family, the most precious thing to you. I think that's a wise investment of time. Okay, so we've had enough children, we've looked at the financial, we've looked at the career. Now we come to look at the issue of food and population increase. Okay, the next big reason, and this is really, to be honest, the reason why, one of the main reasons abortion was legalized in India in 1971 Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, and it came into force in 1972. The main reason behind the motivation was there was concern that the 40 crore population in India around that time, that was in the 60s, when it gets to the 80s and 90s, they'll be starvation across India because the population is growing so much, and this seems a legitimate concern, and therefore they said if we legalize abortion, the size of the family will go right down, and then we will stop growing in our population. Did it work? No. Population has gone from 40 crores in India to 122 or more crores in India. Tripled. It's tripled. And was their projections and predictions correct? How many people are starving in India today? How many people, because of lack of food, have starved to death in India in the last 40, 50 years? Zero. No one has starved to death because of lack of food. Poverty is a real issue. We need to deal with injustice and corruption and gambling and alcoholism and robbing our children of their food by bad habits. You know, there's social equality, justice. Many issues need to be dealt with. Killing children is not the answer for poverty. What's happened is that, why is no one starving today? They forgot one factor in the equation. In the last 43 years, 40 or so years since they legalized abortion, as the population has increased, technology has exponentially increased. God seemed to have the population problem underhand. He gave man the ability to drill down far deeper into the earth, to access more water, to invent pumps and electricity and power in more remote areas, pumps that can pump water, much more powerful pumps that can pump water to longer distances, so that more land can be irrigated. The same seed we had before can now be used in large areas. More ground is fertile, we have more foods. There is no problem with food. There is no problem with an increase in population. Perhaps in the future there may be 200 crore people in India. Do you know this issue of, well, if we're poor, if we're big, we're going to be poor? Again, it's been proved not true. India was a third world country. It is now one of the richest countries in the world. It has a huge middle class. It is now together with China, the largest growing economy in the world. The Western economies, they are going to financial collapse, and they have so many problems. We have a huge workforce here in India. with outsourcing and technology, so much of the work is coming here. That may be adjusted in the future, but still, India has grown in its GDP and in its economy, even with a growing population. The issue of food, you know, the birds in the air, the street dogs, it seems that God gives them enough food to eat. None of them goes hungry. It's sorted out by nature. How is it we're worried about finding enough food? So a dog can feed its 5 puppies, but we can't feed our 3rd child? I'd say it's a complex, a false complex. Something that's robbing people of a satisfying family. You see, you go on holiday with 1 child, will the child be happy or bored? You want to buy your son the latest laptop, you want to get an AC car for his 21st or 18th birthday. That's nice. I appreciate the desire we have to look after our children. But I'd like to suggest, what's the best gift that you can give to your child? A brother and a sister. Work that out. If your boy and your girl each need a brother and a sister, well, then you're going to have about 4 or maybe 5 statistically. There may be 2 or 3 girls that come first, or 3 or 4. Okay? Wouldn't you have liked a brother and a sister that really loves you in a pure way? And you go on holiday with all this gang, it's much more enjoyable. It's a beautiful thing, the family unit. And if the family unit goes, it's the basic unit of society. The society starts to shake. Civilization melts down, as we see in history. I always get someone in the class say, "Sir, you're wrong. We've got to deal with the population. We need to control the population." Well, if you try and do that, it's not working, because some people, according to their convictions, will not have abortions. And if one group is and one group isn't, then you're not going to control the population, you're just going to change the demographics in a nation. And the whole demographics is going to change. You need to think about that. One guy says, "Sir, we need abortion to control the population." I say, "Thank you very much for your concern for the population. Please come forward now. I have a gun in my bag, and we can reduce the population of India by 1 today. Yours." No, he says, "No, sir, not my, don't take my life, take my child's life." Are you really serious? Do you know what? No one is thinking about the population of India when they're thinking about having an abortion. They're thinking about their own circumstances, not the overall population, which I don't think is a problem anyway, because of increasing technology. Okay, let's move on to some of the other reasons for abortion. Now, these are not so common now as we come on to the other ones, and in fact only a very small percent, but these are the ones usually spoken about the most. For example, if the fetus is severely handicapped. There are 3 reasons that were put into the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act for abortion, the main 3. They are all extreme, and then for married women, 1 more, failure of contraception. And that was severely handicapped, mentally or physically handicapped, to save the mother's life, or if the mother has been raped. All 3 of these, which I would say are the most compelling reasons for abortion, are only 2% of the abortions in India today. 2%. 98% is because the child is not wanted. So even if you disagree with what I'm about to say, don't forget what we said before. And whenever we have discussions on abortion, these are the main things argued, and it's only 2%. It's what we call a smoke screen. It distracts us from the real issue, which is, I don't want another child. I've just got married. I want to have sex before marriage. These are the real issues. And most of those are the people under 30, which is why we are introducing this into the educational system in the syllabus. Let's go through those 3 reasons themselves, though, and see if they're valid. Number 1, obviously this is debatable. You may like to have a class debate about this in a future session. Number one, severely handicapped. Does someone being severely handicapped justify terminating them? If that's the case, let's go to a school of the blind today. A primary school full of blind children. Get the machine guns and mow them down, wipe them out. They're blind. They don't deserve to live. They're too poor. Let's go to the slum area and do the same. Can we kill a child just because it's physically or mentally handicapped, or because it's poor? If we can't justify taking the life of a child because it's poor or handicapped, then we cannot justify taking the life of the preborn child for those reasons. If someone is not well, what do we do with them? If they are, do we take care of them less? No, we take care of them more. We give them medicine and hospital. There are many excellent government organisations and NGOs that have special school for handicapped children. And you see, these children are a testimony to the value of life. Even if they're handicapped severely, we do not have the authority to take life. Only God has. Only God has the authority to take life, not us. See, if we start legalising taking life, then where do we stop? Let's go back 70 years to the last massive disaster in the world, World War II. How did it start? There was a man by the name of Adolf Hitler, and he had a huge poverty and economic problem in 1920s and 1930s Nazi Germany. And his solution, and the first murders that Adolf Hitler did, was called the useless eaters. He took the very old people that were in hospital and the severely handicapped children that were born handicapped in the homes and in the hospitals, and the handicapped children across Germany, and said, we cannot afford to look after these anymore. We're closing all these hospitals down. His officer said, well, what do we do with the children? He said, terminate them. It was the first en masse executions in Nazi Germany. The rest is history. Within 15 years, 50 million people were wiped off the planet. If you start off by killing the handicapped children, you end up with a world war. History teaches us. No, life is so sacred, we can never justify terminating anyone. The Nazis said the Jews are not really human. Many people in history have said that about one group. I'm sad to say the British, we said that about the Africans. We conquered their nations and we took them back as slaves for 300 years. Until we woke up and realised the horror of what we were doing to our fellow human beings. And we had to say, this is wrong, and we end slavery. The Africans, the white, the black, doesn't matter the colour, everyone is equal. Whether it's the Nazis or Adolf Hitler saying Jews are not fully human, whether it's the British saying Africans are not fully human, or whether it's the Indians saying the fetus is not fully human. All of these justify en masse killing. And history tells us the horrors of what happens when we allow ourselves to start en masse killing human beings. We don't want to open that door. It costs a lot to look after handicapped children. History has proved it costs a lot more if we legalise murder. There's some people in this class today maybe that are wearing glasses. Wearing glasses? Imperfect. Terminate them. But we wouldn't say that, would we? Of course not. Okay. And by the way, the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act is not a little finger missing or a tiny defect in the fetus's leg. It's severely handicapped is what it states. We've looked at the ethical and legal side. How about the number 2 reason? Saving the mother's life. Severely handicapped is 1.5% of abortion today. To save the mother's life, this is 0.1% of abortion today. This is the main thing people use to argue, and 99.9% of abortions are not for this reason. There was a case of an Indian poor lady in Ireland, Sarita, and she was not given an abortion, and for the next 1 year all the press said, Ireland, you should have given her an abortion and she would have survived. She died because you wouldn't abort the child. They were trying to save the fetus, which was 3 months old, 4 months old, and save Sarita, the mother. They were trying to save both. When they find out they couldn't save the fetus, then they ordered the abortion for the dying or dead fetus inside, but it was too late. Her blood was infected, and unfortunately, she died. We had many newspaper articles published last year. This was one article that the paper said we won't publish. The All India Institute of Medical Science stated 20,000 mothers or Saritas die a year in India through having an abortion. As we described in the last session, in the D&E and D&C, they put the forceps or cure in and have to cut the baby out or pull it out piece by piece. And the mother can be harmed. Sometimes it happens 20,000 times a year in India. It's relatively safe, but because there's so many, there's still so many that are being terminated. There are so many that's going wrong because so many happen, even though it's only a small percentage. So when India was pointing at Ireland saying, have an abortion, you can save Sarita, you could have saved Sarita's life, Ireland was pointing back to India and saying, stop having an abortion. You're killing 20,000 Saritas. Although that didn't come in the press. You see, this is one of the reasons why many countries in the world 40 years ago legalized abortion. Because when it's illegal, girls that want an abortion will go to a back street clinic. They'll go to where it's very unhealthy, unhygienic, and thousands of girls were dying from these unhealthy back street, unhygienic abortions. So they thought, we'll save those girls' lives, we'll legalise it. Why didn't they try and take action so that those clinics could be closed and make sure these weren't happening and have more adoption agencies? You know, if you don't want your baby, give it to one of the licensed adoption agencies or one of the millions of barren mothers in India today that wants a child but doesn't have one. Give it to a caring orphanage, of which there are many. We visit so many orphanages and see beautiful things going on. The child wants to live. It's terrible if a girl dies because she got pregnant, she went to a back street clinic, but that serves as a warning to the other 1,000 girls in her college. She died because she couldn't control herself before her marriage. We don't want that ever to happen. But if it does happen, it causes everyone else in that generation to say, no, we're going to be pure until we're married. The fruits are clear. We don't just want to cover it up, what's happened. Okay. And how about facing the society? What will we do if the girl's not married and she has to have the baby? How will she face society? Well, the problem of her, it's bad that she has to face society, but it's far worse what happens to the baby if it's terminated. If your parents ever tell you to have an abortion and force you, ask them this question: do you want to terminate your grandchild? Are you telling me to terminate your grandchild? Show them the photos. Prove to them it's a human being. It's too late. I like the Indian law. It changed recently and said that any guy that gets a girl pregnant and is not willing to marry her, they can do DNA tests today and prove the boy is the father of the fetus or the baby. It's 5 years in jail for that guy if he's not willing to marry her. Do the right thing. Get married. If you sleep with someone, you are married. The glue, super glue, it's bonded together. You are married. But we have to lose our education. What's mum and dad going to say? They get over it. But the baby won't get over it if you terminate it. You already are married. If you're pregnant, do the right thing. You get married. If you get a girl pregnant, you don't go there. But if it happens, marry her. You already are married. Commit yourself to her. You leave your education, but it means you're not going to start your life by being the terminator of your own child, a murderer. You may lose your education, but you won't lose your integrity, or some of it. No, by saving thousands of girls' lives by legalizing abortion, yes, it makes it percentages lower of the risk of fatality in the abortion operation. However, because of the exponential increase in the demand for abortion, that smaller percentage of a much larger number means that tens of thousands, or as the World Health Organization and AIMS said, 20,000 ladies a year die from abortion complications. So I don't think it's saving any lives, let alone the 1 crore babies. I don't think it's saving any lives at all. There are other ways that we can deal with this. The next reason for abortion is rape. How about if the girl is raped and she's pregnant? She has to have that baby. She'll be reminded the father was an evil man. He's not around now. What will she do? Well, this is a very difficult question. And obviously, someone that's gone through a rape has had the most horrible thing ever. As I've said before, how do we deal with rape? Stop advertising rape by taking violent pornography off the internet. Put porn blocking softwares at a government level and on every digital device, even before it comes to the classroom, the tabs, etc. That's going to happen or has happened by now. However, let's go to this issue. Say that it happens. Well, as we've seen in the photos of the fetus, punish the rapist severely for what he's done. I would say maybe a good punishment for someone that's raped someone that's truly proven, without doubt. Let him have part of his body amputated so that he can never rape someone again. That's what we used to do in America. Then we have other drugs now in different ways, but that would be a just way. That would solve the problem for in future. Punish the rapist severely, but don't punish the baby. What's this baby done wrong? What's this little girl or this boy done wrong? It's unfortunate. It's difficult. She can have the baby. If she goes through with the abortion, it's her daughter still, her son. And she will also be scarred in her life and risk barrenness by having the abortion as well. And there are 29 surveys done recently that shows the chances of getting breast cancer are 30% more by someone that's had just one abortion. A study done recently showed that the hormones emitted during the first trimester, the first 3 months of pregnancy, will affect the cells in the lady's breast that will increase the chance of cancer. However, the second and third trimester, from 3 months to 9 months of the pregnancy, the hormones released will have the opposite effect, so it will actually neutralize what happened at the beginning. Therefore, a full-term pregnancy is safe. But having an abortion in the first trimester, within the first 3 months, will only have the hormones that increase the chances of breast cancer. Breast cancer is now one of the #1 cancers for ladies. And as you know, cancer is one of the #1 ways that people die today in the world. Punish the rapist severe, but don't punish the baby. And don't make it worse for the poor girl that's been raped. Let her give the baby up for adoption, as I said before. And again, rape is only 0.35% of all abortion. Okay, the last reason for abortion is female feticide. This has been talked about in a lot of other sessions, and our time is over. But killing the babies just because it's a girl. And we will talk about that more in the next session. So we've gone through all the reasons. What you need to do now is to discuss all these things with your friends. Have a discussion and think about what you can do about this. What is your opinion of MTP? Thank you.